Hey, in this video, we're going to look at previews in Craft CMS. Hey, it's Judd with Lion Digital. Today's video, we're going to walk through how previewing works in Craft CMS with live previews and also with preview targets. So let's dive in. So previewing Craft CMS, what are preview targets? They are URLs of page that your entries will show up on. Okay, why is that plural? So if you're previewing something, normally you would just preview the specific page you're looking on. Preview URLs or preview targets are really cool in that it lets you see that entry in multiple contexts. So in the example we're going to see in a minute, for a blog, when you publish a blog page, you've got the entry itself, which will be on an individual kind of, template. And then you also, it's going to show up on a category page. It may show up somewhere else. And what if you want to see what that looks like before you, publish the thing? That's what this lets you do. It also lets you preview things if you want to make sure you've got data integrity. If you're working on stuff that doesn't actually have a URL and you want to kind of see what something might look like or make sure the information is complete or whatever, this gives you a way to preview things that may not show up on the front end as well. So one thing you need to make sure, this does require a Craft Pro license. So on the solo version, this stuff's not going to be there. Here's a look at that. This is from the Craft docs. You can see the different preview targets that are set up here. So you can see the homepage, news index, and then a news archive page, all from the same preview targets. And then live preview, this is one of Craft's killer features. This lets you look at things side by side as you're editing. It's really cool. And the most recent versions of Craft let you look at it on mobile and tablet, kind of a rendering of that along the right-hand side. The preview targets will show up here as well. So not only can you see multiple devices, you can see multiple preview targets. I'll show you that in a minute. So let's take a look at a real example. Okay, let's get this set up and look at some previewing here. So what I've done here is I've created a really basic blog section. There's just a couple fields here, a body field, a category field. I've got a category group called blog categories, and I've assigned a category called my category, just a single category. And then within the section, I've got a section called blog. And then the interesting bit to us, this is all standard. It's going to render on a blog entry. The preview targets is what we're paying attention to, and you can make these very dynamic. If you check the documentation, you have access to a lot of different craft stuff. You can use environment variables, you can use aliases, you can build up some really tricky URLs. You also have access to draft IDs, entry IDs, unique IDs. Basically, you can build some really wild URLs here. And then I've just labeled these entry. That's the specific entry itself, which is what gets rendered by default on the entry template. And then the listing. So this is like if you were just to hit the main root section of a blog and it just lists everything. So I've got that just showing it /blog. And then this actually will end up using an index template. And the category, I'm picking the very first category. I only let you assign one category. This is a little bit of a contrived example, but you get the idea is that I can pull up the category URL here. So if this is a little vague, you'll see what this means. Basically, we're going to be able to preview this template three different ways: the individual entry, on a listing page, and on a category page. So let's go take a look at the listing itself. I created one called Hello World. And where you can see this stuff is over here under these views. It's going to pop this open in a new tab. And you'll see that this is getting rendered. It shows this is a category field, entry title, and this is the entry body. So this is showing the individual view. This is the listing view. This is an unordered list I've got in a separate template. And this is just called blog. This is like if you just hit /blog. And then the third one we've got is the category, and this is an ordered list, and it has a category name here at the top. So the idea is that you can preview your stuff in multiple different ways. A lot of times content doesn't just live on a page, it may live several places in your site, and you want to know, well, what is this going to look like? This lets you do that. Another thing to check out, let's move into live previews. Like I talked about earlier, this is one of Craft's killer features where you can do the side-by-side editing that will kind of, you may have noticed the refresh checkbox earlier. We'll kind of live refresh this. So you see that this is updating as I'm updating the content over here. So if I write hello over here, that's going to refresh show up over here. You can see we can see this in different views from those preview URLs I set up. And then we also have the fairly recent addition to Craft viewing this on different devices. So you can also rotate them, which is really cool. So it's pretty amazing. You can really preview this stuff before you send it out to the world, which is really nice. There you have it, previewing in Craft CMS. If you have any questions, comments, just want to heckle me, please reach out. If you need any help with this stuff and you're a B2B brand, I'm available for hire. And if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, like, and all that jazz. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.